My name is Claes Mogren. I work at RBI. I've been there for the last 2.5 years. I'm Director of Operational Intelligence, which means Snowflake, data warehouse, infrastructure. Before RBI, I worked for Google on BigQuery. Before that, for AWS on infrastructure. So RBI stands for Restaurant Brands International, and we are a franchisee management company. We have Burger King, Popeyes, Tim Hortons, and Firehouse Subs. It's around 31,000 restaurants in over 100 countries. Because we're in so many countries, we have so many different restaurants. We have a ton of vendors, several hundred vendors we interact with, and they keep changing. Every country we get new vendors every week, and we have to build integrations, aggregate all the data, and make the data consumable. So right now, we've focused on just stabilizing our infrastructure and getting everything ready. But the data is hard to consume when it's just raw data. So we need to make it easier for all our analysts and brands to automate reporting, aggregating, building semantic layers on top of our raw data. Like at the moment, we're early in this journey, and we have great partnership with Taboola when it comes to making sure whatever we need is doable with the current stack. So that's, I think, where we're at right now. Right now, we are trying to make sure it's easy for the business to get the numbers or the values or the reports they need. And with AI help, like you don't have to be a specialist in writing SQL or knowing the infrastructure. You can get pretty good results with just some help. So I think the programmatic skill, you probably don't need Python coding skills just to aggregate some tables. So if we make the data easier to consume and we have some help to generate the queries, I think reporting and the business output would be easier. Something we've been focusing on lately is just make sure we work with vendors that have Snowflake that makes it easier to share data and less copying, and APIs have had issues. So at the moment, SaaS applications are good in the case that you don't have to manage. Like On-Prem is slowly going away because it's just too much work. You need extra staff just to keep things updated. So in general, SaaS is preferred, I think, and sharing data easily is essential. Since we work with several brands and their needs are similar in many ways. They want to show certain sets of data, or they want to get data from a number of vendors and aggregate it. And we definitely want to work with the brands to make sure it's easy for them to just consume it in a consistent way. And instead of having 5 different vendors that all do kind of the same thing, we should be able to build something much simpler that works for everyone quickly. So we don't want to build a new app from scratch when it's just aggregating a few values. For example, so Sprinkler is one of the vendors. We have like 3 other vendors that just grabs Google reviews from the net. There's been lots of issues trying to integrate with them. And with Taboola and Appify, we had a demo up and running in a couple of days, and with more like details than the others. So that's definitely something that we would continue to explore and see how many of these other vendors we can replace by just automating it ourselves. The actual business value so far has mostly been summarizing or making things shorter or clarifying text. I think like the business problems are still not something the AI can figure out. They don't come up with answers from nothing. You prompt it. And if you don't know what prompt to write, you're not going to get a good answer. But like summarizing email threads, doing meeting notes, that's been a great use case. Or correct reviewing, or like helping write some SQL join queries, or like optimize code, or like get some scaffolding up. That part is good, but the business logic is the hardest part. Making access to information easier in some of these cases, like we have a ton of legal documents you have to follow, and making sure you're compliant in 100 countries is very hard, because all the rules are different, just keeping them accessible, and then helping like build out new integrations, because we keep adding them every week. Just getting the scaffolding, the simple parts done, so it's just more purely logic that's left to do. And since we have hundreds of integrations already, and adding new ones are usually very similar, it's just certain changing credentials or slight mapping changes. I think one thing worth mentioning is that the QSR business is pretty big, and the problems are similar everywhere. And I know that since you already work with Firehouse, a lot of those learnings definitely applies to the other brands as well. And there's a bunch of information to just be learned by working with many customers.